On this show, we follow the money, and when VSiN decided to launch our own store, the smart money was on Shopify. Getting the VSiN store off the ground was easier than we expected, and Shopify's templates and AI tools had us look incredible and professional from day one. Zero coding required. Shopify checkout keeps sales moving smoothly, and returning customers can complete a purchase in one click. Built-in analytics, you always know what's selling and where your customers are coming from and how to keep the momentum going. When questions come up, and they will, Shopify's AI assistant Sidekick is there with answers so you never lose momentum. You can check out the store at vsin.com/store. And if you're ready to build your own, all you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin. Again, that's shopify.com/vsin.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Yes, here we go. Follow the money. Pauly Howard, John Jastremski, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, Channel 158. Loaded show coming up. Even though we have nothing going on in the world of sports in terms of games, it'll be heavy NFL today. Cousin Sal, I want some J.J. Craps talk discussion, what he's like at the craps table, what it's like being a Cowboy fan and a win total that he likes. Aaron Murray checking in, SEC Media Days. A lot of picks from Paul Stone coming up. Wes Reynolds on the Big Ten and some futures he likes. And Smitty on MLB. Christopher Smith, Matt's live on the Red Sox turnaround. Good call by Dustin yesterday that the win streak came to an end as they lost Game 2 of a doubleheader. Quick LeBron update we'll get to with Windhorst. When is this going to end? Day 24. So a busy show coming up. How you feeling, JJ? Good to see you, my man.
Paulie, I missed you. I'm having withdrawals after not doing a show with you for 24 hours. That felt like all day yesterday as I'm in this suit all fancy at SNY. I'm sweating out the Yankees, second half of the double dip. Had Milwaukee in the afternoon slate. And I bet against the Red Sox in both games of the doubleheader. So thankfully, Dusty's play ended up being a winner. But like all day, I'm sitting there saying to myself, I miss my guy Paulie. I miss Luke. I miss Follow the Money. So I'm glad I'm ready to rock and roll with you for the next 2 days. And we're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of football to get to today. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I sent you some homework assignments, and there's some good menus that are up all over a lot of occasions, especially September specials at Will Hill and Caesars. But how about, because Cousin Sal likes Giants under, we're on Giants under. Harbaugh, in some spots, is the favorite to be coach of the year. You want to look in a different direction. How many guys do you think can make a case or a good ticket to be made for NFL coach of the year? Because I know you're big on the Saints, so maybe you're looking at Kellen Moore.
Well, I'm glad that you brought this up, Paulie. So obviously with coach of the year markets, you want to look at these teams that are going to go and turn it around. That's why Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson a year ago were the obvious choices because, hey, if New England pops and they make the playoffs, or in their case, they win a division, advantage Vrabel. Or, Caleb Williams is fixed. Ben Johnson, got to go and give him coach of the year. That's why it's tough to make an argument for the team that's like well-established and dominant, like McVay, for example. How are you giving McVay coach of the year with this team that is as loaded as it gets? It doesn't matter how good a job Sean McVay may do with the team, that's going to be working against them. So there's no way in the world we're getting any action on John Harbaugh because you're down on the New York Giants. I think they're at least a year away from making that sort of leap. I don't think they're a playoff team, so that's a cross-off for me. I'm going to throw 3 names at you, Paulie, for coach of the year. You tell me which one you like the best. I think these are my 3 candidates. Kellen Moore, you hit on. I'm betting the Saints to win the South. I love the way they finished up the season. Tyler Shough, to me, is a super impressive young quarterback. The defense played well in the second half of the year. I'm in on New Orleans and they're in the right division. But they got to win a boatload of games. Like, if they're a 9-8 special, Kellen Moore is not getting coach of the year. This is a crazy one. I don't know if I'm betting this team to win the division, but I think from a coach of the year standpoint, it's worth a flyer. Can I interest you in any Robert Saleh with the Tennessee Titans? I know. Wow. Paulie, I watched every game he coached with the New York Jets.
Yeah.
He did not look like the right man for the job. However, I want to preface this. It is the Jets. It is a franchise that has been as dysfunctional as it gets. He went back to San Francisco, got that defense humming despite all the injuries. They hired Dable to be the offensive coordinator, and the division stinks, right? Like, we're not huge CJ Stroud fans. Indianapolis, a lot of questions. I'm not super bullish on Jacksonville. I think they're a team poised for regression, and it's a good price on Salah. But the other one I'm going to throw at you, because I think this team might be the best team in the AFC, and because of the fact they made a coaching change, if Buffalo goes and has, I don't know, a 14-3 type of year, is there a case to be made for Joe Brady? Those are the three names I'm looking at.
I had him circled too, and I thought the same thing. Like, how many games would they have to win? It's kind of like the same thing with Salah. Is 10 good enough? 9 playoff team? Is that even possible? What Tennessee can do in that division? But certainly you can make a case for Brady, but they're going to have to win a ton of games. And I think your number's spot on. About 14 would get it done. Something like that. He could do it. I wrote down Shanahan 40-1, Stefanski 15-1, and then I got to put O'Connell in there too, which I don't know how it's going to go in Minnesota. Our guy Paul Charchian says it's going to be a down year because they have no depth, and if there's injuries, they're screwed. But the magic this guy can work with the quarterback position and what they did last year with the crap they had, if Murray can play at an elite level or even be above average, how many games they could win, and how he's turned into the quarterback whisperer, I had to put him on there with my list as well.
And I get that, Paulie. That makes sense. Listen, that coaching staff in Minnesota, I think, is stupendous. O'Connell takes teams to the playoffs. He's done it with a variety of different quarterbacks. Brian Flores got to work on his people skills. But as far as Brian Flores coaching up a defense, that guy is a mastermind. I mean, he did it in Miami. He's now done it with the Minnesota Vikings. Here's the problem I have with them, Paulie. It's a major problem because I am the same wonderful human being that each of the last 2 years, sir, invested in the Arizona Cardinals as overs. And I vowed after last year, and I'm sticking to my word because, as you know, I am very much a nuanced man of principle. I, Paulie Howard, am not getting in the Kyler Murray business ever again.
Okay.
I need to see it. I understand the case. He's done it with quarterbacks who are less talented. Very true. Roster does have talent. Very true. You mentioned a lack of depth. I think it's a fair question. The division is really, really good. I mean, Green Bay's in the playoffs every year. Detroit has a ton of talent. Chicago just won the division a year ago. And once again, I'm not getting in the Kyler Murray business. So if people want to go and bet the Minnesota Vikings, be my guest. I totally understand why you would go and dip your hand in that cookie jar. This esteemed VSiN panelist, Paulie, will be staying away.
Sounds good. I'm glad you brought up Campbell, too. He's 25-1 at Circa. And a lot of people are high on Detroit because of the lousy schedule they play. Maybe if everything works out for Detroit and they win the division, he would get a look. O'Connell's 20-1, Shanahan 40-1. How about maybe not necessarily a bad coaching job, but it just doesn't work out and teams with high expectations flop this year, as we see it happens a lot. Everyone likes to talk about worst to first, but we usually have a first to worst that happens. You have a couple teams that could fall on their faces.
Yeah, I do. And listen, one of them is very, very obvious. And I feel like everybody's going to bring this one up because the schedule is much harder. They have Josh Allen in the division. And I know New England on the surface improved offensively. Hey, they add A.J. Brown. They're going to add Romeo Doubs. So you're like, oh my goodness, now Drake May's got something to cook with here. But the Patriots played an absolute joke of a schedule a year ago. Yeah. That is not going to be the case as a first-place team. Then you have the whole Vrabel distraction. So, like, the Patriots profile, Paulie, as the obvious team that takes a step back, that goes from a Super Bowl to, like, they're not going to be a bad team, but do they go from a Super Bowl to, like, 8 and 9? I can definitely live in a world where that happens. The other one I'm looking at, and I know there are some people around the league who are super, super high on the Chicago Bears because they're all in on Ben Johnson. They feel like Caleb Williams unleashed and unlocked something down the stretch of last year. But I think that Bear front is atrocious. It's absolutely positively atrocious. And when you can't get after the quarterback and you can't rush the passer, I think that's incredibly problematic. And Paulie, all the wise guys will tell you this too. The guys that do this for a living that are as good as it gets. the teams that win a lot of close games the year before, there's usually a reckoning. There's usually a market correction at some particular point in time. Chicago, and that was my voodoo and my kryptonite last year, Pauly Howard. I kept betting against the Bears.
That was incredible.
It made me sick to my stomach. Yeah. I just kept doing it like a fool. I kept lining up to the window saying, this team, they're not as good as their record. They're going to get them. Finally, I think I bet them that Saturday night game against the Packers. It was nice to actually be on the right side of one for a change. But the point being is, I think there are some folks around the league that now look at Chicago and say, oh, they're going to ascend to be a Super Bowl team. I kind of look at it the other way, where I think year 2 is going to be a lot more growing pains, not only for Caleb, but for that defense. And I think they regress to being like a 500 type team. So I gave you New England and Chicago. Your thoughts?
Yeah, not bad, especially with the Patriots. I think those are strong. I wrote down KC, Seattle, Chicago, just because the historic factor that they set the record for wins when trailing in less than 2 minutes. And I could see some negativity with Green Bay, too. I was high on them last year. But remember, they were 9-3-1 and had a big lead in Denver. And they closed the season with the 5-game losing streak and how LaFleur butchered the playoff loss against those Bears that we just talked about. So coaching concerns, quarterback concerns, the contract's absurd. He makes 2 dumb plays every game. Speaking of love, maybe there'll be some anti-Green Bay stuff there as well. But I think you're onto something there with New England, just how they got hit by the deck with the schedule, what happened.
And you didn't even mention Michael Parsons and what his deal is going to be at the beginning of the year and what that injury timetable looks like. I was super high on the Packers last year. I am not high on them this year. I'm kind of very much in between on them. Detroit's the team that should go and win that division. The schedule you hit on is an absolute joke. The only fear with the Lions, Paulie, teams that miss a window.
Yes.
I worry the Lions could have been one of those teams. Up 17 in a championship game, 1 seed, losing to Washington when they're a huge favorite. That's my only fear with the Lions.
Yeah.
Everything about them, though, profiles as a team that should go and win double-digit games.
Okay. Also, some people feel the same way about the Bills, too. No doubt about it. All the chances, and they couldn't beat Kansas City. There are 2 great props we can talk about coming up next. One in college and one in the NFL. We'll share those coming up on Visa and Follow the Money, the Sports Betting Network, Pauly and JJ. So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Great to talk football. Hall of Fame game August 6th. SEC Media Days roll on. Aaron Murray, Paul Stone coming up later in the show. I am taking this from Paul Stone. He'll elaborate and expand on this coming up. But this is a fantastic prop in college football, and we'll get back to the NFL in a second. But this is so good. This is at BetMGM, JJ. It's a 3-way market. Who will win more games? Notre Dame or Miami? Notre Dame, $1.15. Notre Dame is plus 160 at DraftKings to go undefeated. Notre Dame hosts Miami November 7th. They are a 7-point favorite in the game of the year lines in that. There's also revenge. They're also at home. They're pissed off not getting in last year and making the playoff. You have all that in your back pocket. So I'm a 7-point favorite right there. Why, it's a great bet. If I win, then I would have to lose 2 more games to lose that bet, which I can't see. And we didn't have time for this yesterday. Brad Powers bet Notre Dame at Lambeau, September 6th, laying a big number against Wisconsin. Their road games are Purdue, North Carolina, and BYU. Okay, BYU's a tough game. And they get Navy, SMU at home. As we've talked about numerous times, there's always a game where Cristobal will come back and get you. And a lot of people are pointing to that September 18th game Friday night at Wake Forest. But there's a game that Miami always seems to lose that they shouldn't. So almost won the national title. Great story last year. Is Mensa better than Beck? I don't know. That's a good debate. But I'm a 7-point favorite. I have you coming to my place with revenge. I'm plus 160 to go undefeated, yet I'm minus 115 to have more wins over the course of the season. I think that's a great bet. What say you?
Yeah, I totally agree. Where's Notre Dame losing a game this year?
Right?
If they beat Miami, I know that BYU game in theory could be tricky. I think there's a great chance Notre Dame goes and runs the table. And your point on Miami is so spot on. Cristobal will absolutely lose the game he has no business losing. I mean, we saw it a couple of years ago. They were playing for the playoff against my alma mater, Syracuse, and they got absolutely torched by Fran Brown in the Orange. Absolutely positively torched. So to get Notre Dame undefeated, you told me plus 160?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the schedule now.
At BYU
stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's – are we going to say if it's not the Miami game, is that their trickiest game at BYU?
Yes. Yes.
Because the Navy game's at home. They'll beat Navy.
But even if – no, I agree. But even if I lose that game and I go 11-1, I beat Miami. Miami's going to run the table the rest of the way? You know what I'm saying? That's a tall task for Miami. So
and I know the ACC is not great, but no, probably not. Probably not.
Okay, that is, again, at BetMGM. That's a great find by Paul Stone. This is NFL at Will Hill and Caesars, and they do this every year, and the traders do a great job. They have a plethora of stuff for what's going to happen over the course of the year, and they also have good September specials. Will a quarterback throw for 500 yards in a game? How about the no on that one? I'm going to surprise you. The last guy to do it was Kirk Cousins 2 years ago. 22 different quarterbacks have thrown for 500 yards in a game. Roethlisberger has done it 4 times, which I did not know. 3 in a regular season, 1 in the postseason. Brady did it twice, 1 in the Super Bowl. Breeze did it twice. But I know it was a Thursday night game when Cousins went crazy against Tampa Bay. But the over-under is 500.5. I'm going to take my chances that a quarterback doesn't throw for 500 yards in a game. And your money's tied up for a while. But that's a good market and an interesting market that I don't think is going to happen this year as well.
Paul, curiously, what do they have the juice at for the over?
I think it's $1.15. Last check.
Basically, think it's an even money bet.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, yes. I was wondering if you'd have serious juice on that. Yes, that is confirmed. I appreciate that. And here's what you need in order to hit that bet. You almost need one of these crazy overtime games where a team is down big, right? Where you're down big in the first quarter, and then it's like, okay, you're just throwing. You're in catch-up mode. You're abandoning the run. It's 4.5, 5 quarters of that QB just chucking. I'll give you the guy, if I had to bet on somebody right now, if you said, JJ, look at all of the quarterbacks in the league. Who would be the guy you would pinpoint to go and get over 500 yards? My pick would be Pauly, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals. Yes.
Okay, that's fair. They also have rushing and receiving. Most rushing and receiving in a game, 235.5. And they also have longest rush and longest reception. Longest reception of the season is 92.5 yards. Longest rush of the season is 90.5 yards. And the overtime games is 14.5 for the season numbers. Let me give you one from September. It's all listed September specials only. How about highest scoring game in September? The favorite, even though it's 12-1, but it's the favorite, the Bills and Lions. The last time they played,
sense.
It was 48-42 the last time they played.
I haven't looked at the September schedule. I know it, but I don't know every single matchup for the first 4 weeks of the year. The only problem you have with some of these games, Pauly, normally the offense is a little bit behind the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you sometimes notice the first week or two,
true.
these offenses are trying to find themselves. You see a whole lot of sloppy football. Now, we had some nuttiness in week 1 last year, if you remember that Ravens-Bills game. And by the way, I was on Baltimore. We've already brought up, I was in such a good mood to start this show. We have already brought up, you brought up the Packer-Bear wildcard game where I had Green Bay, and I'm still sick to my stomach about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then hold my beer. I, like a moron, go and bring up Buffalo and Baltimore in week 1 where I had Baltimore.
Oh, my God.
Come on, what am I doing?
Those are sick beats. Those are all-time beats. They also offer lowest scoring game in September. Jets, Tennessee favored. And most rushing touchdowns in a game is 3.5, heavily juiced to the over. Henry.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Henry holds the record for most 200 yards rushing in a game with 7. Last year in Lambeau, 216 and 4 touchdowns in that monster game where we're getting, Monken late in the season is also refused to give him the ball when abandoned the run.
It's like they didn't want to give him the ball against New England the Sunday before.
Yes, right.
And it's like, now we're actually going to give the ball to Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
League leader for interceptions, 16.5 for a quarterback. Geno led last year.
Geno. It's got to be Geno. Geno's got to be the favorite there, correct?
How about that line? Well, he's going to lead us to the promised land, what Glenn said. He is the second choice with Dak. Brock Purdy is the favorite here at Circa. But I would take Geno, though. And will a kicker make a 70-yard field goal? Is plus 750. I'm glad they offered that. We talked about it numerous times the last couple of years after what Aubrey's done and how these kickers are so good and what the kid from Jacksonville did, but little. But will a kicker make a 70-yard field goal is plus 750. And that's only going to go down as people start to look at that as we get closer to the season. I'm glad that's offered.
Paulie, call me crazy. I don't think that's a bad bet.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad bet. These kickers are insane now.
Yep.
And the technology that they use to kick the ball further, the weight training, the sort of routines that they're in, and then you're playing these games in these indoor climates, like Aubrey or Little, I think could hit one. It's just a question of, like, you're not going to do it unless it's like the end of a half because you're not going to hand the ball back to somebody with that field position. I wouldn't rule that out.
Mm-hmm. They're too good. I'm with you. They are fantastic. And it's just, you saw Aubrey come in from 56, 58, and it's just a chip shot. And even how McCarthy would treat him there at the end of his tenure in Dallas, and Schottenheimer as well. So a lot of those available. Good find from Paul Stone. He's coming up later in the show to talk SEC, and he's going to give out a 6-1 shot as well. And Aaron Murray on the SEC. But that's a great find. And those other props we mentioned are at Will Hill and Caesars. Winner's Circle Proxy and VSiN giving away 2 incredible prize packages that will put 2 lucky fans in the world's biggest football contest for free. One winner gets a $1,000 entry into Circa Survivor. Another one will get a $1,000 entry into Circa Millions. We are up to 5 entries in the Grandissimo, the $100,000 buy-in. Both winners get a full season Winner's Circle Proxy service and a free month of VSiN Pro. Enter by Sunday, August 2nd for your chance to win. Visit winnerscircleproxy.com/VSiN to enter today. winnerscircleproxy.com/VSiN. Twins lead the Guardians 3-1 in the 12th, and they still can't hit. Tampa trying to go 8-1 this year against the Blue Jays. It's 2-1 Toronto in the 5th in a light baseball card. Up next, the story of baseball continues to be the Boston Red Sox 20-3 run. We'll talk to Christopher Smith, who covers the team, up next. How ugly was it, and what turned this season around? His answer may surprise you next on Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Hardcore football coming up in half an hour with Paul Stone. Also, Cousin Sal on the program with his best futures in the NFL. Time for a little MLB. Christopher Smith joins us now. It's Smitty on MLB on X. Covers the Red Sox for Mass Live. He's on the Progressive guest line. He joins us right now to talk a little Boston and the incredible run they've been on as they've won 20 of their last 23. Appreciate the time, sir. But we get emails from time to time that would come in. I can't stand this team. They can't hit. I can't imagine what it was like to cover the team and be a part of it. Can you share how dark it was when this team with high expectations started 32-46?
Yeah, so like even from the first road trip, I was on the first road trip, and I mean some of the quotes that were coming out of that after I think they went it was like 1-6 or 1-7 on the first road trip, and on the last day, you never heard a team like just so depressed and so like extreme. I mean, this is baseball. It's a 162 game season, and they were flabbergasted, and like their jaws dropped, like when they were talking to us. And so it was kind of, there was a very, morbid feel in the clubhouse throughout that first road trip. And then it just continued on throughout the year, right? Like just in the way of not being able to put the ball in play with runners in scoring position, not scoring at all. They fire their manager. They fire several other coaches. And you looked at it, on June 24th, they blew a 3-run lead to the Colorado Rockies, who stink, in Colorado, to drop to 14 games under 500. And they're coming home to play the Yankees, who have, were first place. Well, I don't know if they were first place or the Rays were at the time, or if they tied, whatever. But I was saying to people, I was like, this could get really ugly. I was like, if you're talking about Craig Breslow's job security, like when we saw Chaim Bloom get fired, it was during a September Yankee series in 2023, and so the ownership doesn't like to be embarrassed, and especially against the Yankees. And so if therefore, if this snowballs and they lose 3 or 4 to the Yankees, you could maybe see a firing here, and instead, they won 4-4, and they've been red hot since. It's pretty remarkable. It's hard to put
it is remarkable, Chris.
I covered I covered the 2018 team, and it was just it was the best Red Sox team in history. I mean, they won 108 regular season games. That's the most in franchise history, and it just seemed like every day they were winning. And they never went on a streak of more than 10. So to go on a streak of 15 and tie the franchise record for a team that was 14 games back, just like not that long ago, it's pretty crazy.
So my question is, Chris, because I'm a huge Alex Cora fan. I thought he was one of the few difference-making managers in the sport. Felt like the Red Sox overachieved the last few years. He got the most out of them. They make the managerial change, and I'm like, oh boy, you getting rid of this guy? How are you going to look differently? How are you going to actually go and play better? And to their credit, they have. They've pitched really well. But their interim manager, Chad Tracy, they get him from the minor leagues. What has he provided this team? What has he brought to the table that maybe you didn't know about him when he got the gig?
I always heard great. I mean, I had met him a few times when I went to Worcester to get some stories on prospect. Everybody raved about them down there. They were like from the baseball or from the media relations department there to the even reporters covering the team. They were really happy he got the job, but they were sad to see him go because he was, such a pleasure to be with every day and to cover. And he's very genuine. He doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low. And I think he works well with young guys. And right now, that's been an important thing, right? Like they always had the pitching, but right now they've had to integrate younger guys, less experienced guys with guys on the IL like Trevor Story and other guys like that. Roman Anthony has been out for a long time. And so they have had to take guys with less experience, and those guys have done a good job just putting the ball in play, moving runners over. They're bunting more. I think that it not only has to do with Chad Tracy, but it has to do with the personnel he has right now. Now, how long can that go? They need to supplement right now. They need to, get a better shortstop than Chang. But look at, they're like 12-1 or 12-2 when he's been the shortstop and he's playing extremely good defense. So there's a lot of guys that are helping out in that way and getting the ball in play, and like a Siegler guy, like not much experience, but so I think he does well with these type of players. Alex was always a veteran guy, right? Like that 2018 team was very veteran. You look at the 2021 team, they had a lot of, experienced guys, even from like, Kike Hernandez. And so he does better with those teams. I thought when I was on the radio locally after they fired Cora, I said, maybe this will shift because, Chad, maybe he's just better with these maybe he'll be better with these young guys. And it didn't look good for a while, but right now it does. And, he's got the right mix and, but now they have to supplement it at the deadline.
Christopher Smith, our guest on the Progressive Guest Line, covers the Red Sox for Mass Live. He's got a great article up there. He tweeted out the turnaround and how it started when they were 32-46. He's at Smitty on MLB on X. Oh, so you led me into it. Do they make moves at the deadline, and can this team make a deep postseason run in what feels like a wide-open American League?
Yeah, I think they need to get a hitter, right? Like, you look at it and everybody says right-handed hitter is important. However, they've done very well from the right side against lefties this year. So I would look at it as just get the best hitter who's a good defender, too, because their pitching really is the big thing, right? Like, it's been good all year. And, finally, now that the bats have come around, now the pitching, this pitching and defense thing works. And so, I look at it as, if I was the Red Sox, I would look bat first, a best bat who can also provide defense. Trevor Story, you have no idea really when he's going to come back. You have no idea when Marcelo Meyer's coming back. I would look for a shortstop. And, whether that's Zach Nato from the Angels or somebody, C.J. Abrams. I know C.J. Abrams from the Nationals isn't exactly the best defender. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to get the defense up the middle. As I just said, Chang's providing great defense, and they're, winning every game with them there. And so I think the combination is important, but you need to get, another bat in the lineup. And if he can, hit too, that's a great thing. But, I mean, if he can play defense, too, that's a great thing. I would look to shortstop and left field because, Jaron Duran has not produced this year. You have no idea if Roman Anthony is going to come back to play left field. So maybe get an outfielder or shortstop, look in that area.
And can they make a deep run? Do you think that's possible?
I mean, the way that I always thought like this was a team set up for the postseason, but that was before Crochet went down too, right? Like, if you're a pitching and defense team, pitching and defense wins in the postseason. We saw, the 2013 Red Sox winning so many games. Like, that there were games that they won, like the Verlander, he was on the mound in that game. I don't know, but it was Verlander against somebody, and they won that game 2-1. All they needed to do was hit a solo home run and win that game on the road in Game 3 of the ALCS. And so I think that you obviously you have to score some runs with those, but pitching is so important. And so I think they have the pitching staff to make a deep run. However, it would be way easier if they had Crochet too. Yeah. But the guys like Suarez and Gray are providing so much that I think they could, they would be good in any series, 3, 5, or 7 game series.
It's a great article you have, my man. Thanks for a few minutes and enjoy the rest of the season. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Christopher Smith, Smitty on MLB, covers the Red Sox incredible 20-3 run. They finally lose as the winning streak came to an end. But what a job and great story that's up there that he tweeted, and what a turnaround to be 32-46. Fan base livid, furious, sell the team, all of it, and now a 20-3 run, JJ.
Two guys to watch here if they're going to go and make a serious October run. Can they get Roman Anthony's bat back in the lineup? Think about what a game changer he was a year ago. He's barely played. And Paulie, you remember that guy Crochet? Pitched game 1, lights out, Yankee Stadium just last October. Imagine what that rotation looks like if they can get Garrett Crochet back to peak. So we can talk deadline. Those are two guys who are coming back from injury. They're almost like making trades if you can go and get them back.
Yeah. Twins just beat the Guardians 3-1 in 12, only 9 hits in the game, and Toronto still leads Tampa 2-1 in the 6th. Win-lose coming up next. It happened again in the WNBA. We'll share that, plus a LeBron update. Brian Windhorst on ESPN Cleveland Radio earlier today. He will surprise you with what he's told Tony Rizzo straight ahead on Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, Channel 158, live downtown Circa.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
WNBA. Maybe it was because the first 2 games were early starts. They stayed under. The 4 late games went over. Fever, 177 up to 184. Ice Cream scored 123 points. Dallas, Portland got up to a slow start, still flew over, 173 up to 177. So that makes it a 30-10 overrun. In the WNBA, if you play every game blindly over, with the exception of Golden State, who is a more defensive-minded under team. Keep tracking it, and it's back next Tuesday after the All-Star break. Mystics, 3-1 on the money line, an incredible comeback. Daily specials, MLB, Cole, most strikeouts, plus 750. It looks like we'll get a dead heat today. Sale, plus 175, and Williams, plus 265. Updated numbers now. Day 24 indecision. LeBron, minus $2 to go to the Heat. A win some. Brett McMurphy, SEC Football Media Day records. Fewest, most number of words in a coach's opening statement. Today, Lane Kiffin, 2,807. In 2022, Mike Leach, 5 words. He was introduced and said, "I appreciate that. Any questions?" How long did Kiffin talk for today? 2,800 words before they got to the questions. Oh, my God. JJ, a lot of times, I've heard numerous people say this to me, that they could drink ranch dressing. Well, here's your shot. And it's at the Minnesota State Fair. Old Ranch Hand. A ranch dressing. Can you imagine? I know. It gets worse.
I'm disgusted looking at it, Paulie.
Ranch dressing, flavored cream ale with a ranch salt rim. Look at that. I'd rather go sour cream than ranch. I like ranch. You don't. But I can't imagine drinking something like that as a beer at the Minnesota State Fair. Oh, they think of everything. Unfortunately.
Here's the question, Paulie Howard. How much money would I need to be given in order to go and guzz down that entire tall boy or that pint right there?
1,000?
I think I would need, no, more than that.
Yeah?
I would say minimum $5,000.
Yeah, you hate ranch that much. Okay.
It just looks repulsive.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything else on your list? Things you hate, can't stand, sides, whatever, foods, different, whatever it could be? Anything rival ranch?
I have a very eclectic taste of food, which is no surprise as a New Yorker. Things that I will not eat. I am not a fan of pickles, which is very unpopular. A lot of people like the pickles. I'm not a fan. I get annoyed when they even put them on my plate.
Okay.
I mentioned ranch and blue cheese. I'm out on that. That's about it. I like fruit. I like vegetables. I'm pretty easy. I'm pretty go with the flow.
Okay. Bad beats. Sky money line 3-1. The meltdowns last night. They were up 8 with 55 seconds and lost in regulation. How does that happen? Aces money line up 9 with 350, and they blew it. And I saw a couple listeners had this, condolences. I think one guy had it finished off a ticket. He sent it to us on X. San Diego, Atlanta under. It was 1-1 in the bottom of the 8th. 7-6 final.
Goodness.
7-6 final. 1-1 bottom of the 8th. Brutal. Sports calendar never stops. Sharp Plays covers it all. Winning for 15 straight years. Jeff and the crew are phenomenal. They've been with us since day one. All of it documented and posted publicly at sharpplays.com. Respected, watched, and feared. They reach out to over 500 sources and bettors worldwide and send out that info in real time to subscribers. Start winning with them at sharpplays.com. I find this interesting. I know we're all sick of it, but I think we can use this here, and there's some good stuff. Day 24. I mentioned earlier he's minus $2 to go to the Heat. I think you can throw out what happened, though, with the mistake after Miami put that on social media with the YouTube clip, rather, about the July 27th press conference. Brian Windhorst, there will be no intro presser for LeBron. So this hurts your Miami case if you decided to follow the steam with the news a couple days ago. He learned from the not 5, not 6, not 7, the first time he went to Miami, so there will be no intro. Hey, how you doing? Good to be here. And I think that's good info from Windhorst. Here is Windhorst earlier today with our friend Tony Rizzo, ESPN Cleveland, about nobody seems to know anything with what's going to happen.
I know that you don't, that you would prefer it as a sports fan, as a Cavs fan, to be able, and maybe your best friend's cousin's aunt's sister's hairdresser says that LeBron is coming to Cleveland. Maybe they're right. And if they're right, I will offer them congratulations beyond belief.
Yes.
And then if you'd like to continue to do this for your job, please step into the field. We'll be happy to have you.
Brian,
but I'm telling you, the people that I'm talking to who are the players, the coaches, the executives, the owners, they don't know.
Unbelievable. Day 24. Crazy. And I believe him. And he's also right, though, that a lot of people in Cleveland, where you own a bakery, you run a gym, whatever, those are the people that for 3 weeks are saying, I bet my kid's life on it. I'm 99.9%. It's a done deal. Did he change his mind? Who knows? But the one thing, and there's conflicting reports, there was Kevin O'Connor with Yahoo, who thinks that his camp is still waiting for a domino to fall about a move. Shams came out and said, no, that's not the case. He's just waiting to decide the team. JJ, why would that be the case? Why am I going to move pieces for 1 year of this guy? And if they expect me, there's some internet conjecture out there, like, can they acquire AD, whether it's Cleveland? Why am I going to do that for only 1 year of LeBron James, especially if the guy's a younger player? That'd be lunacy.
Well, I think it makes a lot more sense from a Cleveland side of things than it would a Miami side of things, because Cleveland's roster, I hate to break it to anybody out there, even if you go and bring in LeBron James, it's not good enough to win a championship. Like, there's enough of a track record that tells you Evan Mobley is charming soft. He's Mr. Softy. James Harden is one of the biggest losers in the history of professional sports in postseason play. It's not debatable. It's not arguable. The guy is significantly worse when the calendar flips to the postseason and is the king of postseason meltdowns. And Donovan Mitchell has a checkered postseason track record. So
he does.
What I'm getting at is, if you're Cleveland, you look at your team and you say, you know what? We're not winning with this group. If it's a year or two of LeBron, we'll do it because that's how we have a shot of winning. I think if you're Miami, who just already gave up a ton to go and get Giannis, you're going to be a little bit more stingy about just blowing up everything that you have. And, you know, they don't have the same amount of pieces, quite frankly, Pauly, to move, because they just moved them all for Giannis to begin with.
Yes, I'm with you. But I was told that they would move Harden, but it would happen later in the season, like near the deadline, and that they'd try to be very aggressive to get Kyrie. That I'm on board with. But that's also, you don't know, and the chances that happens, not to mention there was a wink-wink agreement, because here's where the problem started. Mitchell wanted Harden, so you traded a 36-year-old for a 26-year-old. And you were better off with Garland anyways. But Mitchell wanted Harden, so now you're stuck. You can't maybe get LeBron because you made that move now, and you didn't know what this was going to happen. So that hurts them too. Going back, they wouldn't make that deal now. But if you can move up.
And I had serious reservations about a Harden trade. Like, I didn't like it one bit because of his postseason track record. The one thing I would say about Garland with Mitchell, 2 undersized guards was never going to work. Like, you're such a liability defensively when you're trying to match up with those 2 undersized guards. And I don't know if Cleveland could be in the LeBron business just because nobody seemed to know for sure, Pauly, what LeBron was going to do with the Lakers. Like, his son is there. Is he really going to leave California? Then obviously we get the reports that, it's beyond repair and it's time to go and he's moving in a different direction. The point being is this: We're sick and tired of talking about it.
Yep.
Adam Silver's sick and tired of it. We need an answer. And if you want to go and capitalize on the odds boards, on the prediction markets, be my guest. I feel like now is the time for me to go and bet Cleveland because that Miami number after this announcement just got crazy juice. Yep. Maybe it's the time.
Since the last time we did a show together, there have been 2 huge moves on Kalshi and DraftKings. It's incredible. I do respect that this camp can keep a secret. But the other thing, I mean, this is how narcissistic is this guy that we're on day 94, or excuse me, day 24, feels like 94. But this is a week after your boss said, let's go. We have to make the schedule. And that pissed him off even more and said, I'm just going to take even longer now.
I think out of spite, Paulie. He's doing it out of spite at this point. He's like, Silver wants me to rush. No, I'm taking another week. The hell with you.
Huh. So Paul's got a camp in Cleveland this weekend. You would think it'd have to make, but in any event, to put a ribbon on it, to wrap this up, I think if you made that bet on Miami because of what happened on YouTube and firing the employee, much ado about nothing, because there won't be an intro presser because of the debacle the last time you went to Miami. Back to college football up next. Paul Stone to talk SEC, a great prop he likes, and he's going to get about a 6-1 shot as well.